Thanks for tuning in, guys, to the Pest and Ginja. Today, we're going to go over 5 common reasons why your pre-emergent failed. Now, it's that time of the year again, and most of us are going to be doing some sort of step 1 in some sort of fertilizer program, which commonly has pre-emergent. What is pre-emergent? Pre-emergent is a chemical that masks the layer on top of the soil to disrupt seed germination. It's important to note that efficacy is not going to be 100%, and I'd say at best, probably 85%. Even with an efficacy of 85%, if you've had heavy weed problems in the past, it's probably worth using pre-emergents. The downside to using pre-emergents, you can get some root curdling and not as well established grass as you would hope for, which is why you commonly won't see me using a lot of pre-emergents on my channel. I'd much prefer to deal with the weeds after we got them. However, we do have some difficult weeds out there like POA, that is very invasive. We've also got crabgrass, foxtail, goose grass, and a couple other grasses that become very difficult to control once they set into your lawn. Reason number 1 your pre-emergents are failing is because you didn't follow the watering instructions on the bag. Now, pre-emergents are meant to be watered in, and a lot of times on the label, they want half an inch of water to push the pre-emergents into the soil. It's important to remember we've got 2 different types of pre-emergents. We have the sprayables, and then we have the pelletized or granules. These sprayables will spray on much more evenly. It's almost like painting a car, where your granulars are just going to be dispersible. And as you wet them, they disperse outward, connecting the dots in theory. One of the most common areas where I see the products failing is along the sidewalks. Now, this is either happening because the sprinkler coverage is off or the soil is that much hotter than the rest of the area, and the pre-emergents fail. The soil is usually drying out, which you don't want the soil to ever dry out. So we want to encourage proper watering in your lawn and adjusting the sprinklers correctly. Reason number 2 your pre-emergent failed was due to an application error. Application errors can be translated to many different things. Maybe you bought the wrong product. Maybe you bought Tenacity expecting a 90-day experience when Tenacity really only lasts a couple of weeks at best, 2 to 3 at best. It could be that you took the fertilizer bag and spread out 2 pounds per 1,000 square feet instead of the bag recommendation of 5 pounds per 1,000 square feet. It very well could be that you had an equipment failure on your spray tank, or maybe the granulars were just dumping out of the front of the hopper instead of being dispersed properly. One other major issue is these are pre-emergents to be applied before 50 degrees soil temps. You get outside of that range and the weeds have already started that process of germination. The lesson here is you have to read the labels on the product that you're using to get the right instructions, and then make sure that your equipment is calibrated properly. Reason number 3, the product couldn't get to the soil. Over time, your lawn is going to accumulate a certain amount of surface debris. If this surface debris isn't removed, the products have a hard time getting down to the soil, especially the sprayable ones. The granulars have a bigger chance of working its way through a big mess. So when I tell people if they have a ton of dead surface debris, commonly known as thatch, that they just haven't been willing to remove, granular is the better way of going, but it's important to understand the product can't reach the soil, it's not gonna work. It's just not gonna work out. You might as well break up. Number 4, the soil was disrupted. Now, every once in a while, I'm gonna come to a lawn on a lawn assessment. Somebody's gonna say, Ginja, I did everything correctly. I applied it correctly. I made sure that it was watered in correctly, and I've still got weeds everywhere. Now, when I get down to it, I am gonna ask them a couple of things. What did you do after the application? And more oftentimes than not, I find out that this same week where we're getting ideal temps for crabgrass between 50 and 55 degrees, they decided to do a lawn aeration, or they decided to power rake, or they decided to dethatch their lawn, all of which are scuffing the soil surface and then leaving spots that are vulnerable for germination. Reason number 5, you had weeds that already germinated. Now, plants are classified as perennials, biennials, and annuals, which justifies how long they're going to live. The interesting part about what we're trying to do is to keep the grass green and the weeds out. Now, most of your weeds are going to be classified as annuals and biennials. However, some biennials actually take a long time for the seed to sprout up and say hello. So if it's already completed its germination process, but it hasn't yet leafed out and come to the surface, these types of weeds are still going to complete their life cycle and they're still going to sprout up whether you put down pre-emergent or not. Now, if you've gotten to this point of the video and you're like, man, that was a complete waste of 5 minutes of my life, I'm already doing all this, it may be that you have misidentified the weed as being a perennial plant, and that happens commonly. Those type of things have to be dug out. Now guys, get off the couch, slay the lawn, prove your sprinkler coverage, water properly, dethatch, and make sure you never let the soil dry out. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, hit me up in the comments down below. You know I'd love to help you guys out. Till the next time, guys, at the Ginja, we're slaying lawns.